Hey guys, a warm welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be continuing with the problem I'm facing on my Ferrari 360 with the F1 flappy paddle gearbox transmission issue. So in my car it's been stuck in neutral, and in the previous videos we have diagnosed that problem, we have taken the system out of the car, I've shown you the system, we have stripped it all apart, and hopefully in the process given you, along with me, a bit more confidence that it's not as complex as everyone thinks. So in today's video we're going to be rebuilding it, putting it all back together. We're going to be doing the bleeding, the alignment, and the computer centering of that, putting it all back on the side of the transmission, the gearbox, and hopefully after that get this car back on the road, operational, where it belongs as my daily driver, and more importantly ready for my trip to Le Mans in a few weeks time. So sit back, enjoy the show, watch me get dirty, and hopefully we'll get this fixed. Okay, so great news, it's fixed. Works a charm. So a couple of things. First of all, this is the one from my 360. This was the Maserati replacement that Aldos kindly sent to me. The unfortunate thing that we've realised is, if you look at the slots, so this slot on this one goes that way, the slot on the Maserati goes that way. The problem with that is when you insert it in the car, if I look from the bottom, if you watch the pin from the bottom, it pushes the cam toward you, so this is coming towards you. I do the same on this one, so pin at the bottom, and unfortunately that then pushes the cam toward me, not towards you, so it sends the cam in the opposite direction. So basically they are not interchangeable. You cannot put a Maserati one in a Ferrari. But the good news is I found somebody who repairs the actuators for Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini, etc. He kindly supplied me with this upgraded titanium pin, so it's much stronger. And it's a simple process. Took the old shuttle out of the middle of this, knocked out the pin with a center punch and a large hammer, being very, very careful not to damage obviously the shuttle or anything around it. Then it's simply a case of knocking this pin back in. He uses a press to get them out. That was his suggestion, but with a bit of a tap, the pin came out quite easily actually. So like I say, works lovely. So we're now going to rebuild that with my original parts and hopefully fix it. Now, next part of the video will be rebuilding it. I'm going to do that quickly. Then we need some software, and we're going to go through the bleed sequence for the actuator when it's all back together and hooked up to the car, not bolted onto the side of the gearbox transmission. Has to stay apart, and then you open up 3 bleed screws and we bleed it then. Anyway, I've talked enough. I'll rebuild the thing. This is what's left of my old gasket that came off the actuator. So what I'm going to do is I have some gasket paper, various thicknesses. So I'm going to use my little measuring device and just take some readings around this old bit and see if I can manufacture or make a gasket using kind of similar material. So we've got a reading on the old gasket of about 0.25 mil, and I'm going to use this stuff, which is 0.25. Next size up was 0.4, which is too big. So we're going to use the 0.25. I'm going to trace around the old part that I got, and then we're just going to have to make up the rest of it. So I'm just making the replacement gasket to sandwich between the 2 parts. So what we've done, as you can see from the pictures, is we have put it in, that is my old gasket, which I have traced, the part that I had. The other part just disintegrated, so we're just recreating that now, and I'm going to cut it all out, just take my time and then trim back. Okay, one more demo. So, here's our little broken bit with the new one. Here's our cam. Here's our shaft. So we're in a down position now. If I push this shaft in with my knee, watch the cam. There we go, and that's our closed position. And there we go. So, pins are all the way up, or will be if I push that right in. And then if I push that down again, ideally in the car situation, we'll have the hydraulic fluid, so it will be doing that itself. That will move. All back together now, and went back very easily. One thing I will say is I still can't move the movement up and down here. I thought with the previous Maserati cam in, because the slot was in the opposite direction, it was locking it. I did actually try this. One thing I did do is when I put the Ferrari cam back in, I put it in the down position. So basically I had the shaft here, the smaller shaft out, and I was able to easily push that back in and have the movement here. It's just I can't move it and push it back out. So I guess it probably needs a lot of pressure. I don't want to force it in any way. There's no point in doing that. This one obviously does work, so we can move it in and out. I do need a lot of pressure again to do that. There we go. But yeah, going together, no problem at all. Got my homemade gasket in there. That's hopefully going to do the job. And I now need to, I've ordered the alignment little jig to go here to get our alignment on this before it's bolted back into the car. And also before we do that, we need to unscrew these, hook up the computer and bleed the system when I refill it. So, there we have it. It was all cleaned up, best I could, and back together nice and easily. So the actuator's all ready, it's all rebuilt. I'm going to start bolting it back onto the car now. I'm waiting for a couple of things. Firstly, some gasket seal to go around here. I thought there was a gasket on this, but looking at the parts diagram, there's nothing there. Looking at the workshop manual, it's just a bead of gasket that creates the seal between this and the gearbox, the transmission, when they marry them two together. Waiting for that, waiting for the computer system to run some of the calibrations, and also the jig. That should turn up this afternoon, so I thought I'd crack on with it and hook it up to the car, feed some of the fluids in, and get ready when those other bits arrive. Got it all bolted back on the car now. You can see actuators in place, all the lines are connected, all the banjos are in place now. It's all done up, bolted up correctly. Fluid lines in place as well here. So we're going to start filling the system with the correct stuff. Getting hold of this is pretty much impossible. Luckily I had some of this available still on my shelf. The system takes about 1 litre, so we're going to start filling it up and get ready to bleed the system when the other bits arrive. The goods have arrived, so they're going to help me fix the rest of this car. I've also got some service kits in there for 2 of my cars. Is it just me, or does anyone else still get excited when Ferrari parts turn up? Oh, look at this, it's like a lucky dip. What do we got first? Oh, biggie. What's that? Oh, I think that's a bit. This is my tensioners. Okay, cool. And this is the beastie I needed. This is the Hill Engineering jig for alignment on my actuator before I can put it back on the car. So that weighs a lot more than it looks like in the picture. So that's good. Starting to get the final bits for the completing that job. Next, after that, you've got a big pile of parts here. We are going to be doing a major service on my 360. So we've got all the belts, cam belts, all the filters. We've got the new Hill Engineering tensioners. So the full works on that is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. That's going to get ready. I need to do that before I go to Le Mans. So we've got about a month. So watch the channel for the full major on the 360. After that, second pile, you've seen the annual service we've done on the 348. So we are going to finish off that on the 348 with an engine out and changing the cam belts. So we're going to do the cam belts again. Watch the channel. That'll be coming up shortly. As you can see, I've got my work cut out. So the first function we're going to do today is we're going to bleed the actuator and all the lines. To do that, we're going to use our computer system. We're going to go into clutch bleed, but before I do that, I have to open up the 3 bleed screws by a couple of turns. So I'm going to do that. So we're going to bleed it. We're going to undo the screws by a couple of turns as per the workshop manual. Okay, I'm going to make sure my reservoir up the top is nice and full and that is brimmed. I'm then going to go into my scan tool. I'm going to select actuator bleeding, and there you go. You can hear it. Okay, so you can hear it all going through the test. There's a load of fluid coming out the top of my reservoir. I'm going to show you that quickly. As you can see, I think I overfilled it. But that's fine. I'd rather have more than less. Procedure's running. Should take about a minute. Okay, that's the procedure finished. So I'm going to tighten up the screws. There is nothing in the service manual to say what torque settings these need to go to, so I'm just going to nip them up. Okay, so that is the system bled. Next, we are going to center our pin. Next, we're going to be performing the centering of our gear shift lever on the actuator. So to do that, I need the special jig that I had to buy, measuring device, a gauge or some shims, 13mm socket, and obviously the computer. So first of all, you need to loosen the bolt. I need to measure using this the lever itself. Then we make a compensation with the shim, set up the computer, put the jig on, and then do the alignment. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing this, measuring it, working out what shim we need, and then we'll continue from there. So first, using my micrometer, I need to measure the diameter of this here center ball terminal joint, and it should be somewhere between 14.75 and 14.85 millimeters is the normal range. And mine is, let's have a look, 14.79. You see that? 14.79. Okay, so now we need to work out the shim I need to put on. Okay, so we did a couple more readings and I'm averaging out about 14.77 or 14.78, somewhere between the two. So according to this, if I have a look at that, it should probably be about 0.22, 0.23 mil. So I'm going to do a 0.23 mil. Okay, let's see if I can do it with the camera on the pod. So just going to nip this up. It needs to be 27 Newton meters on our gauge, but for now I'm just going to tighten it up roughly and then do the final bit myself. Okay, so we're making some progress. We've bled the system. We have used our alignment jig to center it. Next, I need to attach the actuator back onto the gearbox transmission. To do that, I need to use some of this gasket. The stuff in the workshop manual is no longer available, and this is the closest stuff I can find to it. So we're going to do that, hook it back up, and then we need to do a self-learn, and hopefully that should do the trick. Let's see. Okay, a quick test I want to actually do, I just thought about before I bolt this back onto the transmission and gearbox. In the software, I can go through and manually select gears. So we should see this all moving. And then I verify on the dash what it says. So let's go into reverse gear. Okay, so you can see that's all moved. You can also see reverse lights on. You can hear the beep for reverse. You can also see on the dash there, reverse gear. Okay, so we are now gonna try doing that with, let's go into first gear. Hear the actuator back there. First gear. Okay, I'm going to run through them all. Second gear next. Okay. Third gear. Sorry, trying to carry the camera. Third gear is all good. Third gear on the dash. Let's do fourth gear. Good movement down there. Fourth gear on the dash. Okay, so I'm just bolting the actuator back on the side of the gearbox transmission. 8 7mm nuts. So I'm going to just put them on, tighten them all up correctly, and then we'll do the self-learn. Okay, so next we're going to go through a self-learn. Okay, here we go. No idea how long this takes. Okay guys, well that's it. The self-learning is finished. It's all together. I've left it exposed at the back. So the last test really is fingers crossed. Let's take it out for a drive, see if it works. Okay guys, have no idea how this is going to go. Expect the unexpected. But the last test really is, let's fire this up, see if it works. Keep those fingers crossed for me. This is live. And who knows what's going to happen. Reverse. Let's see, ready? Oh yeah! Okay, let's just take it down the road gingerly and see what happens. It's starting to rain. I'm in race mode as usual, so let's take it out. Let's see, let's make sure we get first. First on the driveway, no problem, that's good. Reverse is fine. First gear. No back bumper, so I can't go far in this one. Second gear. Cool. Nice and slow. Hasn't been used for a little while. Third gear. Cool. And that's about it, guys. I'm happy with that. We went up to third. I'm not going to push it today. I want to do a camber. There you go, guys. I think the smile says it all. I am super happy with that. In fact, that's an understatement. I'm ecstatic with that result on the 360. It's back on the road. It's driving. Got to put a few things back on it, but it's all tested. It's all working. So thank you, guys. Thanks to Mike. Thanks to Aldos. Thanks to the guys on the forums. Hopefully the video helps you guys out in turn, and you've learned a bit from this. It can be done. It's not difficult. We've stripped it all apart. We've gone through the process of rebuilding it, setting it all up. Yes, you do need a computer to do it. Yes, you do need a jig. But other than that, it's not difficult. So thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel for a few more videos like this. Ciao for now.